Hello, everybody. Our stories in our reading passages are very tangible today. In the first one, there is a widow who is in a big trouble because of the death of her late husband. The creditor is going to take her two boys as his slaves. And there is this wedding feast near the catastrophe, which is well described by the exclamation, "They have no more wine." What a shame. What a disgraceful start for a couple to start their life together. But there is a rescue for both situations. For the widow, it was the prophet Elisha, and for the marriage couple, it was Jesus. There is one word needed, although not pronounced in both cases, and this word is faith. The word faith is, by the way, mentioned in our second reading passage. Apostle Paul says, if your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. The widow followed the instructions of the prophet. She collected the empty jars she could get from her neighbors, not knowing for sure what would happen next. The olive oil she had left could not possibly fill these jars. What a faith she had in collecting these jars. Jesus used to say, "Go, let it be done just as you believed it would." Had she collected more jars, had she got more of this precious oil, she could then sell to pay the debts. In the wedding feast, Jesus told the servants to fill the jars with water, and they filled them to the brim, not knowing what would happen next. And what was even more demanding for these servants was to draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They knew it was water, but still they obeyed the words of Jesus. What a faith they had in risking their reputation. What would have happened if the master of the banquet had just noticed it to be water? We need a lot of faith in our lives. If you do not have faith in what you are doing, you easily get into the stage where you just do not do anything. There are things that may seem very distant to us and beyond our reach. And still, if you just start to reach out for them, someday they may be attained. Without faith, you just say that they are not for you. So you define your own destiny. However, this story of the wedding feast of Cana is not just about faith. The Gospel of John is very different from all the other Gospels. This story of the wedding feast in Cana is told only in this Gospel of John. And John says that this was the first of the signs through which Jesus revealed his glory. And it is even said that because of this event, his disciples believed in him. Why is it only in this gospel? And if it happened during the lifetime of Jesus, why was it written down only in this later written gospel? The other gospels know nothing about it. And there it is. The most important story, the first sign of Jesus. You know, John tells us stories no one had told before. Like also the story about the rising of Lazarus from the dead. The story of giving sight to a man born blind. And the mother of Jesus at the foot of the cross. They are the stories that could not possibly have escaped publicity until the end of the 1st century. The Gospel of John must be read through different kind of lenses. Many of his stories are not historical accounts, but if they are not historical accounts, it is important for us to figure out what is the point they want to convey to us. What is the great truth? For example, this wedding feast story wants to tell us. It surely did not happen, but it does not mean that it is worthless. It's very precious, conveying a marvelous message. So let's start looking at it. It is said that the mother of Jesus and the disciples were there. In the Gospel of John, the mother of Jesus does not have a name. In addition, in this Gospel, she's not an historical person, but a mythological one, representing Israel, the mother of Christianity, our mother. She is present in the wedding feast and also at the foot of the cross. It took a lot of time before the mother of Jesus was introduced there, at the foot of the cross, some 50 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. But in the Christian art, we are so familiar with it that we take it for granted. However, in the work of John, she is not Mary, the physical mother of Jesus, but as I told you earlier, a mythological person, and she represents Israel, from which the Christianity is issued. But let us start from the beginning of the story. On the 3rd day is a clue. Something new is about to happen on the day of Jesus' resurrection. On the 3rd day. It was the turning point of the history. The wedding feast had run out of wine. The Jewish religion had become lifeless and boring. There was no more joy in following God-given ordinances and prescriptions. The wedding feast between God and Israel was about to be ruined. There were still those jars of purification representing the Judaism with all its rituals. And there is Jesus, the newly resurrected Christ, the Son of God, who should be listened to. He gave his order to fill the jars with water in order that the feast could go on. And something happened. The water became new wine, and it was better than the first one. What happened in Cana is not for us to ponder whether Jesus was promoting the use of alcohol or not. Apostle Paul said this very clearly in his letter to Ephesians. Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord, always giving thanks to God the Father for everything in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. This story of the wedding feast is a sign to tell us that the new era has begun. The new covenant has started. We are already in that new one. In the wedding celebration, and what Jesus has brought us is much better than the old one and all the organized religions with their never-ending stipulations. We are no more to wait for the wedding feast to come. It is already here. Let us live it out. Pronounce our vows. Love and rejoice. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.